Welcome into Running It Straight, folks. Wednesday, the 8th of May, at the end of Round 9 and the beginning of Round 10, just around the corner. It's great to have your company as we talk rugby league up until 3 o'clock and cover off as much of the One New Zealand Warriors as we can. Sammy alongside Anthony Galling as always. And yep, today we've got a big one. Coach Andrew Webster joining us on the show. It's going to be a little bit later on. It's going to be around about 2:40. So we're going to reverse order things and just talk through the last round. Have a look at this round as well before we then get to Andrew Webster towards the back of the show. You can text your questions through on 8833. We've already got a stack here from social media and people that have DM'd us when we said we were getting them on the show. But if you would like something answered or a thought put across, 8833, because good place to start, Jello, and welcome in. A lot of Warriors fans starting to feel that nervous energy. We've lost 3 in a row, and it's just, I don't know, there's a few people falling off the wagon.
Yeah, I've heard that mentioned. Someone said that the bandwagon's gone down to a dinky toy on one axle with 2 wheels. But my take on this, okay, and this is why the Warriors are so popular, is because everybody's on this journey, and it's a roller coaster. We all go down together. We all come up together, okay? When the All Blacks win, it's not as exciting, okay? Part of the story, part of the Warriors' story is that we're underdogs. We're heavy underdogs. We've been losers for years. So when we do go well, that's why it takes the nation by storm.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just part of the journey. This is all part of it. This is...
Very circumspect thinking there, Jello. I haven't actually spoken to you. I spoke to you. We did the show after the Dragons loss, but then I wasn't here last week, so I didn't talk about the Titans loss. And now we've had another loss. So just checking in with you, where do you think it's sort of going wrong? Losing to the Knights, another team you would say on paper that we would have thought were beatable or should have been beatable. No Kalen Ponga. It was a messy game in the rain. 14 points to 8. But where is it going wrong for you over these last couple of weeks?
I think it's just the style of gameplay. So it's that really conservative style of football. It's quite a cliche to say it now. Definitely drop the ball against the Knights. I think we'll see this week when they play the Tigers. Tigers got Coruscant and stuff back. Tigers will show us how gettable the Knights are.
Right.
No Ponga, no Frizzell. Warriors missed a golden opportunity there for 2 points.
So breaking it down, Jello, where is it a personnel thing? Is it a strategic thing? Is it execution? What can you sort of give us your thoughts on those areas and maybe where it's fallen apart?
For me, it's a tactics thing. If you look at personnel, I think we've got our best team on the field. Everyone on there can do a job. I spoke to Steffi a couple of days about it, actually. I said, I made the kind of perspective that our team's not showing what they can do fully. So some players, we know what they can do. We know what Adam can do. We know what Sean can bring. We don't know what Capewell can really do yet. He's just hitting those lines. It's very straightforward for a lot of players on the field, and not a chance for them to express the talents that they have. And everyone's good at something. Everyone's got different skills. Okay. Use an example of the X-Men. Like, imagine if the X-Men all had the same power. It would be boring, right? It wouldn't be fun to watch if they all just had claws.
I get you.
So at the moment, that's what it's like.
None of them would die if they...
Well, that's what's happening at the moment. They're not dying, but they're not winning either. So.
No, I got you. Yeah. I got you. I like that point. So how do you fix it? Like, we're going to talk to Webby in about half an hour, and I'm sure these sorts of questions are going to come up. But how do you fix it? And folks out there, if you want a good place to go and look at some, I guess, data, some insights and stats analysis, Rugby League Eye Test. Follow him on Twitter, but he's also got a website as well. And he digs into all sorts. He digs into, expected points per game based on field position and possession.
Oh, wow.
And, he looks at, first half opportunities versus late game opportunity. He looks at everything.
Okay.
It's very detailed. And he wrote an article this week. He generally focuses on one team each week. He wrote an article this week on the Warriors. And he said, what's going on for the Warriors? And it's one of those things where all of the stats suggest that we are one of the best teams in the competition. We are leading the competition in metres. We have some of the best set completion. Sean Johnson has some of the best kicking metres, some of the best line engagements. Line breaks we're doing well on, all this sort of stuff, but it's not converting into points. And you could argue that over the last couple of weeks, defence has been more of a problem. But then against the Knights, the defence was pretty solid. I mean, 14 points, but they did hold strong. But we're not able to score, Jello, in the positions. And there's so many times where we're in that final 20 and the points just aren't coming and we're battering the line. There was one point, I think it was 20 tackles in a 10-minute period inside the Knights 20-metre with nothing to show for it.
Well, I wonder if you dig into those numbers then. So this guy, this rugby league eye test guy, he sounds like the Billy Bean of of rugby league. Got some Moneyball stats going on there.
Yes.
I'm sure there would be some stats to suggest why that field possession and those set completions aren't turning into points. And I think if you look at the shots that the Warriors do fire, I feel like it's the same shot over and over again.
I think that's It's
how you translate that into stats and numbers, I'm not too sure.
So is there a point to be made, and I know Aish raised this in the commentary on Sunday, a point to be made of a lot of the meters are coming through the middle, right? It's the big boys. To your point, we know what we get from Eden and Tohu and Wade and Kurt
even
and Jackson.
our back five. Like I've said a number of times, the best that Roger can do for us is in our own half of the field, like getting us out. He gets big meters there. A lot of our back five do, especially in those games where it's end to end and the ball stays in. Well,
here's a question for Webby, but I'll put it to you first. How do you unlock, and this is one of the most common questions that came through when we told people we're getting Webby on, one of the most common questions was, how do we unlock the left side? That's Roger's side, it's Marcelo's side, generally Tamani Martin's side, although Sean seems to be sort of playing both sides at the moment. What does it take? Because teams are stacking that right side, Jello. Like you just said it before, we're doing the same play and they know what's coming and they're just jamming. And to the point now where they're not even baiting, they're not even entertaining the Jackson Ford ball when they see Chance sweeping out the back. They know what's coming. There's like 7 guys on one side.
Yeah.
So is there anything in your head that can tell you how to unlock the other side? Or
Well, I think at the moment, if they do ever go from right to left, it's just to set up the play on the right again. So if they do come right to left, it's hit that short ball or hit the prop or drop someone under and then let's line up and go right again. So I think if they were to reverse that, if they were to set a point at the post or even on that right channel and then have a play coming back to the left, it's not that it doesn't happen ever. No. It does happen, but
it just doesn't seem as smooth, right? Do you think Roger, and I know we just talked about this before coming on air, he's not playing the role that probably people thought, and certainly the way Andrew Webster sort of talked about it in the early season about him playing a roaming sort of Joey Manu role. Is he being utilised in the right way? Is it his fault? Is it the plays leading up to him getting the ball? Is it the shape? What do you reckon?
I don't think any play that has him and his winger holding on that left side, it's quite easy to get up and slide off. And then when he does catch the ball, we see him 2-on-2 with the centre and, legs tackle gets made and he gets up and plays it. We see that all the time.
Yeah.
I think the space that he could be most deadly is him coming back inside because you're going to catch out all those middle forwards that are either slow or still retreating or not getting across. He's got the footwork to then bounce and skip and open something up. And if you had a play where you drop him under and then he's then skipping across field and guys are coming back underneath or hitting holes, as soon as someone shoots out that line, he can either drop him off or he can, back his feet.
And that's what Joey does, Joey Manu. He cuts back up, he runs back into the middle, and sometimes he's like, where are you going, mate? Because he just sort of runs sideways.
You watch Reece Walsh do it too. He's one of the best at it. You turn it back inside and he'll run backwards if he has to, but he'll get round someone and it just opens up for everybody.
Yeah. That's a great point, Joe. Look, there's a lot of questions I know to ask Andrew Webster, and I think it's a good thing that people are this passionate about it, but also it does highlight what we've talked about over the last couple of weeks of that expectation last year, what they built. The expectation now is much higher. So in the past, 3 losses on a row might have been par for the course and it's standard, but now we expect much more from them. And so in a way, that's a good thing, right? That the pressure is there because it shows that there was success and we want to build on it. And we know we've got the team to do it.
And that's part of the journey. It goes in cycles.
Yeah, of course it does.
And like everyone's furious at the All Blacks because we expected this.
Yeah, correct.
And if they lose one game against anybody, it's what? This is unacceptable.
And look, using a Super Rugby perspective, the Crusaders, who are absolutely terrible at the moment, if you're a Crusaders fan, you should take solace in the fact that everyone's coming after you because it shows how dominant you've been and how jealous everyone has been of it.
But how entertaining would it be now if Crusaders won last week, won this week, and then they start this thing? But imagine their fan. I know, I'd hate to see it. I'm a Blues fan, but imagine their fan base then getting back on board and being like, that would be a lot more passion and power than what they've had in the last 5 years of winning it because people got bored.
And if I asked you of the bottom 8 teams right now, who is most likely in terms of the squad they've got on paper and everything to go on some sort of late season run, you'd probably say it's the Warriors. If you looked at the bottom 8 teams, they've got it all there, Jello. It's just trying to make it click. And Look, I'm getting a little bit nervous. I think we're almost in must-win territory, and the fact of, if we lose to the Roosters, if we lose to the Panthers, and we then sort of have the Dolphins before the bye, if we were to just lose all three, I'm at a point where I'm like, those points are hard to make up, on the NRL ladder. I'm getting a little bit nervous. But I don't think you can sit here right now and say it's all done, it's all over, they're not winning a premiership, etc., because there's still so much more water to go under the bridge. Before we take a break, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about milking, and I know this issue came up on 360 as well. Happened a lot in the Warriors game. Jackson Hastings, should have probably been at the Met Gala the way he was throwing himself around that field. And then there was a couple more in some of the other games. How do they? I mean, look, most of them are penalties. The obstruction rules, the hip drops, they're dangerous, and you want to be penalised. Is there some way that they can also penalise a player for milking? And there are some sports that do this, where they'll give the penalty, but there'll also be some sort of punishment for the player that's milked it. So it's saying, look, it is a penalty, but you oversold it a bit too much, and we don't want that in our game. Maybe it's a report thing, and maybe it's just a fine. So maybe you go and report, and you get a $5,000 fine, your first offence. If you've over exaggerated and you've put your hands up. I know it's hard to tell whether someone's milking it or not, but it's a dangerous precedent, isn't it?
It is.
When milking creeps into the game of rugby league.
It is, and it's a huge grey area because the pain that a player feels in a tackle, that's subjective. And sometimes you see it, you'll see a swinging arm or something, and you'll just get like the end of a wrist or like bang you on the nose or something like that. Yeah. Those can hurt the most, and that can break your nose or knock a tooth out or something like that. But when you look at it on the replay, it's like, oh, come on, mate.
Okay.
So if you were to be watching that on a replay and go, oh no, he's milking that, it's like, well,
is it a problem? Like, do you think it's a problem though in rugby league?
Oh, definitely.
It's creeping in.
It definitely is, and you see teams that. Dallon's one for it. He'll cop a high shot and he'll let the ref know. He'll take his time.
Dallon
he'll
is
take
the
his time and he'll.
That's the jaw.
My jaw's dislocated. Let me just pop it back in. Hold on, and then he might not play the ball and call the trainer, and then they have to review it.
Yeah. Yeah, and he always gets the call too.
Well, yeah, because it's a high shot. But it should have been called the first time.
And we don't want rugby league to turn into this game where everyone's just selling. Because and we talked about as well with that the Wade Egan knock on that was called 2 weeks ago. Where he picked it up from where he put it down over the line. No, he picked it up from dummy half. It was a score out left, and they went back and said, "Oh, Egan knocked it on." And it's like we don't. If we look at every ruck and every tackle, you're going to find something. And guys could sell you on almost anything. So look, the amount of times I see a tackle and go, "Oh, that's a hip drop," and it doesn't get called. It's
exactly.
You actually don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you're entering dangerous territory there.
We'll take a break. When we come back, and if you've just joined us, Andrew Webster is going to join us around 2:40. So we're going to front load the show with all our usual stuff, and then we'll get to Webby at the end. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have a look at this weekend. We'll have a look at the team list for the Roosters, how that matchup shapes up. Maybe have a look at some of the other round 10 matchups as well. And Webby will join us in around about 35 minutes time. Running it straight here on SENZ. We'll be back in a moment. Running it straight here on SENZ, Andrew Webster going to join us in around about 20 minutes' time. Looking forward to catching up with the Warriors head coach. But we will have a look, at round 10 coming up this weekend. And we start, as always, with the Warriors fixture, which is on Sunday at 4 p.m. at Allianz against the 6th place Roosters, and a Roosters team that really is starting to hit their straps. Jello, big win over the Broncos in round 9. For the Warriors, usually run through the starting 13, but you're probably getting pretty used to it all. So I'll tell you that 1 through 7 is all the same, with Chans at the back, Sean and Tamati in the halves, Marcelo Dallin, Rocco Berry and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. The forwards, there's been a little bit of a shake-up. Adam Fanua-Blake and Bunty's going to start in the propping role. Egan is the number 9. Jackson Ford. Mitch Barnett's going to start in the second row. Tohu Harris the 13. Then you've got Dylan Walker, Tom Ale, Jazz Tavanga comes back in, and then Adam Pompey, number 17. Jello, I want to split this into two parts. Let's talk about the starting 13 first, and probably that 4-pack moving Mitch Barnett to the second row.
Yeah, he seemed to go all right there last week. The thing that concerns me, I know you watched the game closely last week. Wade Egan picked up 2 quite bad head knocks. Did you notice that?
I did, yeah, and he tries to get up very quickly.
There's that one in the first half where it was like a boxing fight, He got sparked, he got up, got back in the line, sweet, no HIA, no nothing. And then the second one was that Saifidi try, so him and Barnett looked like they banged heads.
Yeah.
But again, both of them just kind of went unnoticed. He gets them a lot, man.
He does. I would be worried if he gets another big one or... Yeah, 1 or 2 more.
What's the magic number?
But that's the thing.
7 HIAs last year.
You got James Tedesco there as well, right? I always find this conversation hard because the neutral part of me is like, it's not worth it. Don't risk your career, all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, it's their decision and it's their body, and they know it better than we do and everything. But it's just one of those things where if James Tedesco in 20 years' time comes out saying that he's got concussion trauma, it's everyone's sort of going to know exactly where that came from.
But then there's a part of you that says, up the wires, get in there.
Yeah, there is. Look, I take your point, Joe. Honestly, every time I watch Wade, I'm like nervous that he's going to go off because it became such a feature last year and the year before that he wouldn't play the full 80 because he had knocks and stuff. So yeah, I just want to see him out there for 80 minutes every time. So I do wince a little bit. But Mitch Barnett in the second row, is that Webby maybe trying to add a bit of grunt forward and Kurt Capewell are real workhorses. But at the moment, it seems in 2024, they're not, when you look at some of the other second rows in the comp, let's take Manly, for example, with Ola Kawatu, and you look at, Pia Kura, Jordan Riki for the Broncos, these second rowers are running second rowers. Strike weapons. Whereas Ford and Capewell are more workhorses. So is Barnett shifting him there maybe that sort of thinking, do you think?
Yeah, I think so, because people, he used to play a lot of back row when he was at Newcastle before he came to the Warriors. The thing about him, he's got a really good offload to his game, but with the way that things are set up, I just don't know if he's going to be able to use it or confident to use it, or if anyone else is expecting that. I don't know if it would be much different if it is the back row just hitting that same hole, in order to switch back to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to tell.
Okay, well, that is the one big change. Barnett in the second row with Bunty Afoa starting in the number 10. The interchange is another one, and a big talking point over the last couple of weeks with the, the use of the interchange and how it's shaped up. And Webby loves to change things around last minute, but as it stands, he's got Adam Pompey there again, which he had last week, or who he had last week, but didn't use him. I mean, what's the thinking, do you reckon, Jello, behind having Adam Pompey as your 17th man if he's not actually going to get on the field?
Well, I'm not sure if it's a bit of injury cover, even with Dylan Walker there, though, because I'm thinking, Sean Johnson, if he's got that ankle thing or calf thing, there's a chance that he could, they might be having one eye on him. But I'd say with Walker there, he could just slot in straight for that. The point of having Pompey there, I'm not too sure. Maybe it is just injury cover for the backs. I can't really see what else it would be.
And then Dylan Walker, who really does cover a lot of positions anyway. I think the question around that is, can't he be the utility guy, the replacement guy? Is there?
That's what I'm thinking. But even him, he was on one leg last week. He looked, he was hobbling everywhere. So you look at who's on the bench. So Freddie Lussick's been named in the reserves. I thought he still had one more week suspended. I'm not too sure. But then there's also Zion Ma'u, who he played really well, and Zach Day, and there's people would be keen to see him again, and it makes sense for him to be on the bench. You got Tom Ali there, looking a bit of a lonely prop there.
Well, it's actually the extended reserves that make me question the final makeup of that for those four interchange spots. Because, Jacob Laban, Tane Tuopiki, Zion Ma'u, Ed Kossi, Freddie Lussick, you would think with those sorts of players in that reserve slot, and those reserve slots, there is going to be some sort of change. We'll wait and see. Like I said, Andrew Webster does love to shift things around. I've just got a text from Webby as well saying that he's running a little bit late, so we might get a little bit less time with him than we would like, but we still will get him on. It's just we might want to get to ask him as many questions. The Roosters, Tedesco in the number one, Daniel Tupou and Dominic Young, the two wingers, Suali'i and Joseph Manu in the centres, then Luke Keary, Sam Walker, the halves. Waria Hargreaves playing in his 300th game, Lindsay Collins alongside him in the front row, Brandon Smith, the number 9, then Angus Crichton, what a year he's having in 2024, great for my fantasy team, Nat Butcher, and Victor Radley, who comes back into that 13 position. Connor Watson, Nafahu White, Spencer Leniu comes back in as well after that suspension, and Terrell May on the interchange. It's a pretty formidable, almost full-strength Roosters team.
I think that is full strength.
Yeah,
that's everybody there. That's everybody there that's beaten the Broncos not once but twice. Very good team. And one key standout for me is Angus Crichton. The last couple of weeks, he's been absolutely killing it, man. He's back to his best, I think, probably pre-World Cup.
Yep.
When he made the Aussie team and all that stuff. I think he's back to where he was.
So, like I said, the Roosters are on a massive rise. They smashed the Broncos last week. I can't remember who it was the week before, but they're moving up the NRL.
60 on the Dragons.
The 60 on the Dragons. Yeah. Should remember that. Sorry, Ken. So, they're on the rise, and they're probably licking their lips at playing a wounded Warriors team at Allianz. What are the keys to defeating the Roosters, do you think? And those games this year where they have lost and over the last couple of years where things haven't gone right for them, are there a couple of areas you can pinpoint as, things that Webby and the team will be focusing on this week to try and get something done on Sunday?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one with the Roosters because you look at that team, there's no, some teams are particularly good in one area. The Roosters are, there's no one particular area where they focus and, kind of win the game. Across the board, they're very good. They can play up the middle. They got the pack to do that. They got Brandon Smith back from injury. They can play up the middle. They can play out wide. Guys like Dom Young and Joey Manu, of course, obviously. They can score from anywhere on the field. So the key to beating them, oh, man, you just got to hang in there. I think there's, you got to defend the times that you are on your goal line. You got to turn them away. And when you get the ball back and get opportunities, you just got to make the most. I think this could be probably the hardest game for the Warriors this year.
Wow, like the whole season or just up until this point?
Up until this point, and just where things are at as well. Yep. I feel like the Warriors are out of rhythm, and I feel like they have to enter into an experiment stage soon, to kind of find
something, get the confidence back.
Yeah, find what's going to work better than what's going on at the moment.
So what do you reckon, Jello? Low scoring, high scoring. How do you see it playing out?
Well, you know what? Every week I back the Warriors. Every week,
yeah, it's okay.
But my heart's always, up the wires, baby. But my head says the Roosters this week, which was probably when the Warriors will win. But I just think
do it. Throw that curse out.
I just think Hargraves 300th at home. They're gonna come out swinging, man. And I just don't think we have the bodies on the ground. So
are you worried that it could get away? It could be a Broncos. It could be a 40-point plus.
Oh, I'd hate to go there, man. I'd hate to go there. I've written down Roosters 1-12.
Okay. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. I'm thinking, I know it sounds really silly, but I've got two minds. One of them is sort of in your camp that I think it'll be tight, but I still think the Roosters will get up and maybe a call doesn't go our way and it's a 16-12 or something. There is a small part of me that does also think the Roosters could cricket score this at home. Warrior Hargreaves 300th, full strength team, high on confidence, wounded Warriors side. That makes me worried a little bit.
You'd love to see the Warriors come out and win this.
Oh, which would be fantastic.
Everybody back on board.
Wouldn't it be fantastic? And look, I know people will say, you got to keep the faith, or you. Last year people called me an absolute fraud for suggesting the Warriors wouldn't win the grand final. We're trying to be as impartial as we can here, folks. We're trying to talk all rugby league and keep our hats and our hearts sort of relatively dry, so that. We're not throwing out wild predictions, but I do think the Roosters are just a little bit too strong this weekend. A couple of quick texts before we take a break. Jello Richard says, seeing as you mentioned it, what are the TAB odds for Wade to get a head knock from JWH?
Oh, I don't want to be putting money on that.
No, but JWH has a bit of a history of throwing
Did you
the
see the Dragons game? First carry of the game.
Was that on Sully?
Straight into Sully, knocked them into Father's Day.
Sean says, boys, do you think Laban should be starting second row, leaving Barney at prop?
I like Barney at prop. I think he tightens up the middle well. His line speed's awesome, gets everybody up with him. And that's where the line speed's got to start for me, in the middle of the field, and then everybody else is off your shoulder. We talked about it last week because there was rumours that SJ might have missed the Knights game.
Yes.
And I think the thinking was, we'll rest them against the Knights because we got the Roosters and the Broncos coming up. Tactically, would you play your best player against the weaker team to guarantee that 2 points?
I think we needed the 2 points.
And then rest, take your chances against the harder team? I
think so. I think I think at this point, when you're tracking how you are, you need confidence. You need to get back on track, right? And nothing worse than using your best player and losing that game and then not having him for the good game. So I think we just needed the 2 points. Finally, quickly from Joey, he says, hey boys, great talking points. An issue that is raising its ugly head in the game. Reid Marnie being the third man into every fracas that is happening on the field and him not being penalised ever. He's a grub, and every time he sprints 30 metres to get involved, the incident is almost over, but he flares it up again as he did against the Tigers. Never held to account. He is the new Michael Innes. That is from Joe.
Well, it's the age of the little man, because these guys never used to run into brouhahas back in the 80s and 90s. You get cleaned out.
Mate, and that's, people ask me about ice hockey, why I love it so much and why they still allow fighting. And they allow fighting to get rid of all of the small, niggly, dirty, the dirty stuff, right? Like, and if there wasn't fighting in hockey, you'd get these sort of big enforcers who go after the good players and sort of bait them by hitting them or whatever and getting no repercussion. Now, not that I'm saying let's bring back fighting into the NRL, but you can't help but think if someone like a Jerome Luai, because he's another one that loves to niggle, if he had to square off against a Mitch Barnett who was not allowed to sock him, but if he socked him, he got 10 minutes in the bin, you think Jerome Luai's going to carry on the way he does? They're protected at the moment, and they can do anything they want because they're not going to get anything from it.
And it's the rules of the game that are changing the culture of rugby league a little bit.
Yep.
So that comes back to the milking thing, okay?
Yep, 100%.
So in the 80s and 90s, it was a pride thing. If you got cleaned out, walloped, you got up because you want to show that it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
But now it's like, well, I'll get a penalty, so I'll just sit here and thank you very much.
True. Yeah. I want to ask, what does Kevin Campion think about that? You know what I mean?
Ask any of those guys, man. Ask any of those guys.
I think actually Campo did talk about that a while back about how embarrassing it is.
Yeah, you'd be embarrassed.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a different game. I take your point, Joey. I appreciate your text on 8833. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will have a look at some of the other big games over round 10. And Webby's going to join us around about 1:45, maybe 10 to. We're just working out with his schedule. They're just finishing up training over across the ditch, so we'll make sure we get to him when we can here. Stay with us on Running It Straight. Running It Straight here on SENZ, 22 minutes away from 3. Paul says as soon as we back the Roosters, Webby's brushing the interview. Went from 2:30 to 2:40 to 2:45, maybe 2:50. Paul, very funny. We will get him on. It's just probably going to be in about 10 minutes' time. So I know everyone's holding out for it. We will get as many of the questions to him as we can.
Sounds like the Warriors odds as well as we're talking. Moving towards 4 o'clock.
Pushing them out. All right, let's have a look at some of the other games across the weekend just quickly, Jello. Dolphins, Seagulls tomorrow night. It's a Thursday night game, 9:50. That is at Suncorp. Dolphins have sort of slipped a little bit over the last couple of weeks. What do you reckon?
They're back, man. They're back. They got all their injury. Oh, not all, but they got some key guys back from injury. They're sitting in 4th position. And you know what's funny?
Ladder fraud.
Huh?
That's ladder fraud.
They're a good team. They can D up. They play really well. You know what's quite funny?
I don't know where Manly's at, to be honest.
You know what's funny is Dolphins are 5 wins, sitting at 4th. Mm-hmm. This time last year, they were 5 wins, sitting at 9th.
Really? I thought they were towards the top. They might have been sliding.
That was on their way back down.
Yeah, true. And I think it was the aging squad. So maybe with a few youngsters, maybe they will. But the Seagulls are just, they've got to work themselves out. They're fluctuating. They've lost to teams they shouldn't have lost to, and then they'll go and win by 40 points. So, what do you reckon? Score?
I think Dolphins 13 plus.
What?
Yep.
Wow. Cut that up. Revisit that next Wednesday.
Yep.
Panthers Bulldogs Friday night 8 p.m.
I'm going doggies 1 to 12.
Gee, you are really pushing the boat out this weekend, aren't you?
I just think because there's no Isaac Tungo. Okay, so they got a 20-year-old Paul Alamotti. He's come from the Bulldogs last year. He's going to be playing on that centre side. Up against the Bulldogs left edge, which is killing it at the moment.
It is true. Nathan Cleary back in the side though. So Bulldogs 1 to 12. Eels Broncos.
I'm going Broncos 13 plus. Too big, too strong.
Eels off the back of the bye.
Eels off the back of the bye, but they haven't figured it out all year how to slow down the ruck, how to control the ruck.
And no Mitchell Moses.
No Mitch Moses. No Gutherson.
No Gutho.
Blaze Talangi's playing centre.
He's playing fullback.
He's playing fullback. Yeah,
it's great
centre.
for my fantasy team. West Tigers Knights 5 p.m. on Saturday. Flip a coin.
Flip a coin. I think, like I said, the Tigers will show you how gettable the Knights are. So I think the Tigers are going to win. By how much, I don't know.
Dragons Rabbits Saturday 7:30. Very interesting game.
It'll be interesting. Like if the Rabbits do have any resurgence or any bounce back left in them this year, we'll see it in this game. So they're coming off the bye. They got Latrell back. Alex Johnson is back from injury, but named in the reserves. He hasn't been named to play. They got a bit of a journeyman standing out there on the wing instead. Dragons very, very wildly inconsistent, but they're back at home where they've knocked off some big teams. Zach Lomax is on the wing once again, where I think he's played best. Thoughts on this one? So when they played the Roosters and got blown out by 60, there was 2 instances where Lomax just overplaying and he's thrown these little flicks out the back that were picked up and scored on.
Yeah.
Someone made the comment, I think it was SEN there, the Aussie boys said, those 2 passes will get him the big cross out for Origin.
Probably right,
he's
actually.
passed his way out of Origin with those 2
If he's going to play centre in Origin, I think so. Because he's known for that in that centre position of trying to overplay. That's why he's better on the wing. Because he just gets the ball and he's allowed to do whatever he wants.
Do you think he's a shout for wing then?
Maybe for Origin. I think if he's going to play Origin, it's on the wing. I don't think it's in the centres.
Okay.
Ken will disagree with me. Storm Sharks, Saturday 9:35. Amy Park.
Top of the table clash.
It is.
This will be the real acid test for the Sharks. Okay, so they had that hoodoo last year that they couldn't beat a top 8 team. They haven't played a top 8 team this year, except for the Wars last year. They beat the Wars round 1. They haven't played the Broncos. They haven't played the Storm. They haven't played the Panthers or the Roosters. They're sitting top of the table. This will be the test to see where they are compared to where they were last year.
It's probably actually a good top team matchup as well, because the Storm haven't been as dominant, this year as I know they're sitting up towards the top of their winning games. Very, very tough.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it is a great matchup for the Sharks.
I think if Sharks win that, it's going to make things very interesting.
Right, who do you think is going to win it?
I think I just don't know. I don't know. Usually I've got picks down for everybody. This one is blank. I must have been thinking about it at the time and then still inconclusive.
All right, we've already talked about Sunday, Roosters, Warriors. Just quickly, because we're running out of time, Titans, Cowboys, Sunday, 6:05.
I'm going Titans, Golden Point.
Oh, I don't mind it. Raiders v. the bye.
Ooh, nah. Raiders on fire, man. Didn't you see them last week?
1-12. All right, we'll take a break here on Running It Straight. When we come back, Andrew Webster, Warriors coach, is going to join us on the line. 12 minutes away from 3 here on Running It Straight. Sammy alongside Anthony Gelling, and we can welcome into the show Warriors head coach Andrew Webster, who is on the line now. Webby, welcome in.
Welcome. Thank you for having me, guys.
Nah, it's great to have you on, mate. Look, there's a lot of noise around at the moment, mate, from everyone, from media, probably Jello, a lot of it as well as our listeners. Just from your point of view, Webby, how are you assessing things after 9 rounds?
Mate, it's pretty obvious we're not where we want to be. We're not doing it the way we know we can. We're still confident that we will get there. Each week it doesn't happen. It gets more frustrating, I think, for the fans, the players, the coaches. But they're trying really hard. I think the biggest thing for us is just putting so much pressure on ourselves with our discipline, our errors, penalties. We're just creating so much fatigue for ourselves at the moment. And yeah, we've got to get. We've obviously addressed it. We address it every week, but we've also spoken about it the last 3 weeks. So we've got to draw a line in the sand, and it's got to be this week.
Yeah. Talking about this week? What's been the focus? I know time is limited out there on the training paddock. Is there a priority or a focus? Is it offensive or defensive? What kind of has that priority at the moment?
Yeah, it's not. In attack, it's pretty simple. We just want to commit to what we want to do. We want to do it at speed and conviction, and actually enjoy it and have fun and be confident around ourselves. Defence, we want to get our identity back. I thought we defended even though we had a lot of penalties and errors last week, I thought we defended them for long periods of time a lot better. I mean, they scored 2 tries off a grubber and basically a little an inside shoulder off the back of 3 sets on our line. So we want to keep that, but we want teams kicking from their own end more. That's what we're really good at. We kick in the corners, we put pressure on with our defence, and they can kick from their end. So we haven't just gone defence attack. We've gone both, because in the NRL you've got to be good at both, and we're not there at the moment.
Talk about that defensive identity. Who kind of leads the charge for that? Like, if you were to single out a player in the team right now and think, if everybody tackled like this guy, we're going to go places. Who's that? Who would you kind of look to as an example for that identity?
The identity on our kick chase, Rocco, Berry and Gallen, for one. They give us that because they chase down there with such speed. But Mitch Barnett, for me, the way he defends and the way he goes after the opposition, the way he tackles. If we had 13 guys tackling like that at the moment, we'd certainly be in a better situation. So, he'd be the one. I mean, there's others. It's not all bad. We could be closer than we think. But at the end of the day, Mitch Barnett, he leads that, certainly with our pack.
We were talking earlier in the show around some sort of data and stats analysis that sort of suggests that despite the recent few losses, the team still sits, at the top of the comp for things like run meters and set completion. It seems like a lot of the pieces are there, but particularly when we're getting into the last 20 meters, into that red zone, it just seems like the potency or the ruthlessness isn't quite there. Have you been able to, I guess, pinpoint it? Are you able to share it with us? Or is it just something that you're just constantly having to work on?
Oh no, I think you're right. Like, it's just so clear for us that that comes back to that conviction of our plays and actually running that every play for that play rather than waiting for the next one. What I mean by that is let's say we get into our points, we're just a bit one out, we don't have that same conviction, and then our timing and execution just isn't where it needs to be. And when we're at our best, that's what we're really good at. So, like, we're giving ourselves plenty of opportunities down there. The thing I will say is we're losing big chunks of possession, and then we get lots of possession at the end of the game, and we're throwing shots at the opposition. I think we had with 12 minutes to go, I think we were way behind the possession count, and we ended up winning the possession count by the end of the game. But those options and good ball attacking sets we're throwing at them are just so lethargic and slow and soft. And there's no conviction to them because our energies are low. So there's definitely a timing issue, but I'd love to see how good our attack could be if we had a bit more energy.
Do you think, Webby, as well, that this always gets floated around, and I'm not personally a big prescriber to this, but people saying that, teams have learnt the Warriors from last year to this year. They know how to deal with the moves out towards the right side. Is that something that you guys feel has happened? Teams are a little bit more aware of what you're capable of in attack, and that's a reason why it's getting shut down?
Yeah, no, they are, mate. There's definitely parts of it. I mean, the thing for me, if we walked off and everyone timed it well and we ran it the way we wanted to run and they stopped it, and we'd have to address some things. I mean, what I mean by that is we'd have to have some variations and something different, which we're all for. But the thing is, we're not getting that timing and that conviction right, and we probably are a bit one-sided in the way we attack at the moment. But yeah, the thing for last year, they all knew it was coming, but we ran it so well.
Yeah.
Even times this year we've ran it so well, it's so bloody hard to stop. So what we ask ourselves is each week we come off, do we run it the way we want to run it? And if they stop it, then yeah, we've got to make some adjustments. But if we don't do it the way we want to do it, then that's got to be our main focus, getting back to the way we do things.
We got a lot of questions that have flooded in when we said we were getting you on, Webby, and some of them, well, a lot of them revolving around that execution and that final third, and a lot of people asking, how do we unlock the left side? We know what the right side's capable of. We saw that last year, and we know, Dallin getting the record for the most tries for the Warriors, but people want to know, how does that left side, how do we unlock it? We know Roger's out there as well, and we're all excited to see Roger and what he's capable of, but it just feels like at the moment it's not quite clicking. Can you put your finger on that one?
No, we're very right dominated. We've got to be more open-minded both sides of the field. That's just not a secret. I mean, I'm not going to go into the real technical detail and tell the Roosters how we're going to play this week. But yeah, we've definitely got to be more open-minded to both sides of the field so we can be a threat on both sides. I mean, our big thing we've always wanted to be is 2 points of attack. Meaning, if they number up that way, we can go this way. If they number up that way, then we can go the other way. It's a good observation that very right-sided dominant at the moment. And we need to be more balanced.
Hey, Webby, just looking at the bench for this week. So, when the decisions get made around who's on the interchange, are we picking the best team possible, or are we kind of tweaking things to the opposition that we're playing?
No, we want to pick our best. We want to pick our best 17 that deserves to play and that will give us the best opportunity to win. We take opposition into account. We might tactically start someone that we normally wouldn't because they'd suit that particular opposition. But at the end of the day, you want your best 17 out there. And sometimes it's like your bench has decided, well, do I need a utility player on the bench? No, I've got him playing this week, so I don't need it. But majority of the 16 should pick themselves, you know what I mean? Because they're the best 16 you want, and then your 17th man is often a utility guy or something that you need in that scenario that week.
Yeah. As far as some of these young guys that are coming through, there's some real exciting talent that's almost coming through. So we got Ali Leatawa, guys like Zion Maui. We had a little taste of him on Anzac Day. People love to see him. For you as a coach, what kind of tells you that a young guy is ready to go, ready to be picked?
I think we had Jacob Laban as well. He did a great job. I just think the way they train, are they reliable? The way they play in New South Wales Cup, that tells me they're ready. Also, too, I don't want to burn them out as well. I'll give them a little taste here and there and bring them along slowly. We're not scared to debut people. I think everyone's noticed that and seen that. But yeah, like at the end of the day, those boys got some opportunity, one, because they were playing well, and two, because we had some injuries to our forwards. when personnel comes back, like Bunty Fells and guys like that. They get their opportunity to come back in the team. But we're hoping these kids to make it really hard for these guys and then get their noses in front, and then it's hard for these people to come back.
We also haven't talked about all the injuries, Webby, and it seems like the casualty ward is in constant flux, going up and then coming back down and going up again. So that's something you've got to manage. Another sort of question that was quite common with the text machine was, and it's not just last week with Adam Pompey, but I guess the decision making around almost that 17th position, and whether or not you're picking for injury cover or whether you're picking someone seeing a role for them over the 80 minutes. Can you enlighten us a little bit there, or are you trying not to give too much away?
No, I can go in that one. Like, that's what I just was trying to say. Like, you pick your 16, and then if you've got too many forwards, like you've got enough forwards, for example, and then you look and say, okay, if we've got an injury to an outside back, who on their bench can cover that role? And you don't feel like you've got anyone, so then you pick a guy like Adam Pompey, and you say to Adam Pompey before the game, listen, brother, you might not go on there today, unfortunately, because our middles rotation, our forwards rotation will take care of itself. But if we get an injury to an outside back, mate, we're going to put you on. So you just got to make sure you've got every single thing covered each week. Like when Kurt Capewell and Dylan, if Dylan Walker's back playing, he can give you that versatility. So sometimes it just depends on the situation. And unfortunately, Adam Poppy didn't get any minutes last week because there's no injury to our outside backs.
Well, Webby, it's been awesome having you on, mate. I know you're a busy man. Lots to prepare for as well this Sunday. So we really appreciate the time, mate. Go well against the Roosters, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
No, thanks for having us. And look, I appreciate all the support. Trust me, we're trying hard. We want to win, and hopefully we get it for everyone this week. No,
we know that, Webby, and we're behind you 100%. Andrew Webster there, the Warriors head coach, head of their clash against the Roosters this Sunday. And look, we've only got 30 seconds here, Joe, but doesn't sound like a man under pressure. It sounds like he's calm, he's back in the process. He did sort of mention if it goes wrong this week, they might have to start thinking about different things, but...
Well, I love how you said backing you all the way and then pick the Roosters.
Yeah, that's the head versus the heart. Don't out me like that on here. That's us for running it straight. Sorry we couldn't get to all your questions. We just didn't have enough time, but it was great to have Webby on. We'll be back next Wednesday.
SENZ.